Awesome music.
Now, from our last segment, we continued having a conversation about, we left at who is a strong person. And I think the conversation continued getting better because just checked this morning in our comment section, and someone has dropped in something about who is a strong person. And just to bring you to speed with it, is a person who keeps going no matter what. A strong person is a person who keeps going no matter what. A strong person is a person who has fallen many times. Many knows that, but it is not the end. A strong person is a person who can still dust off the dirt and begin again. Is a person who builds others even when they are having or they are going through rough patches in their own lives. A strong person is a person who puts others first and has conviction that by doing so, they are not losing at all. A strong person is a person who cheers others up and celebrate others. A strong person is a person who can clap for others until it is their turn to shine. A strong person is a person who knows there will be better tomorrows. A strong person is a person who is able to let go of hurts and to love those who hurts them. A strong person is a person who is able to let go of hurts and to love those who hurt them. A strong person is a person who keeps good in every situation. A strong person is a person who knows God is bigger than every mountain. Is a person that places all trust in God. Is a person who has God as their own vindicator. A person who looks back with gratitude, who lives in love today, and who waits for tomorrow with hope. A person who is grateful and can be grateful even in little things in life. A person who believes in others even if others don't. A person who wants the best for others. And a person who does not speak out the secrets of their partner after breakup. And it ends there. That's a nice analysis. And you can tell from the mind or probably from the life of the person who wrote this who a strong person is. And probably you can also tell of their personality and their belief system and their conviction. So I don't know what's your comment on this. Something that touches me here is a strong person is a person who is grateful and can be grateful even in little things in life. You know, like you are taking stock of the things you are having, and you're not just waiting for bigger miracles, but you're also taking note of these simpler, smaller things that happen in your life, and you're grateful for them. It's a sure sign of many things. It's a sign of an attitude of a heart that is ready to embrace whatever comes their way, no matter the quantity and probably no matter the quality. And that is something for me here. I don't know what touches you in this.
What I'm reading from that is that a strong person, if I can summarize in three statements. First of all, a strong person is somebody who goes all out for himself or herself. Then the second point would be a strong person is one who goes all out for others. And then the third point would be one who goes all out for God. And
Fantastic.
This can be summarized into the first concept can be actually related to this quote by Theodore Roosevelt. LeBron James uses it a lot. It's titled "Man in the Arena," whereby the guy says, "It's not the critic who counts, but the doer of deeds." Back in the day in Greece and Rome, they used to have these battles in arenas, and so like two guys would fight, then the whole arena would be filled with people, and so these strong guys would be there killing each other, like fighting. It was a sport. They're bleeding, they're sweating in there, and then there's everybody else who's supporting and cheering. So LeBron says, or Theodore Roosevelt says, it's not the critic, the spectator who counts, but the man in the arena, the doer of the deeds, whose blood is mixed with sweat and dirt, who even at worst, if he loses, his place will never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And so that is strength, somebody who goes all out for themselves, knowing that, look, I'm going to sweat, I'm going to bleed, I'm going to receive blows, but still walks into that arena. So the credit belongs to him. So that's the first element. Secondly, someone who goes all out for others,
For sure.
Someone who claps for others until it's their turn. Somebody who brings up others, who respects confidentiality and stuff. So that's a strong person according to what I'm reading there. Somebody who goes all out for others, somebody that is reliable, someone that you can actually walk to and you're sure that I'm walking towards a lighthouse. Okay. Then thirdly, somebody who goes all out for God. Okay, we are not going all out for God, but we are embracing the divine reality that we are creatures and there's a creator above. And so we're in line with him. In the Catholic Church, we speak of the theological virtues. We're in line with divinity in the sense of faith, hope, and charity, right? So we believe in this God. We hope in the promises he gives us. Then we love him and others. So for me, it will summarize, from what I'm reading there, I'll summarize strength in those three perspectives.
Fantastic. It can't get better than that. And I think ultimately the genius of this for me is when you have said it well, it ultimately comes back to God. It starts by self, it somehow find a way to get to others, and finally we realize that the self and the others wouldn't make sense without the vital force, and that is God. So strong person will finally say, look, where do I get all this from? So you want to go and tap into the real and the very author of your being, and that is something. I think the genius of everything will always find a way of going back to God. And I love this about the author. With as much as I wanted to drop in the many points about the self and the others, finally realizes that a strong person is a person that places all trust in God, is a person who has God as their vindicator, and does it. Check on our comment section down there, and you'll always find this discussion going on. Also still on the same discussion of a strong person, I had a discussion yesterday with some guys on the table, and in the discussion, everyone has a way of looking at this. But something that came out and something that I strongly hold and believe in is about the issue of soft spots and hard spots. Now, this should mean something. I strongly believe that a strong person is a person who is able to create for others soft spots. Well, the world out here, our world we are living in, we are always thinking of forceful ways. We want to make things happen. We are coming up even with formulas of success, and sometimes the formulas of success are so cruel. The formulas of success sometimes are not so much human. Our formulas of success uses a lot of force, physical force, and so it's some form of punching left, right, and center. Now, what strong people will do, if you ask me, would be a person who has the capabilities to create soft spots for others. That with as much as we know things are to be gotten in hard ways, if there are possibilities of placing soft spots for things to be gotten, people to achieve goals, dreams, people to have sense of peace and consolation and happiness, then you drop in that. I think strong people want to do that. And I think I have a special place for people who in their relationships, they try to make their human relationships to have lots of soft spots. We are looking at a world where we are fighting with so much mental health issues and everything that seems to be gotten in a hard way. Now, soft spots become areas or points of consolation, are areas where people retreat, are areas where we go back to get energies so that if there is fighting, we continue fighting. So many soft sports become something that strong people want to do.
Just hold that thought. I feel you're very ideal in the sense that we live in a world of radical and brutal capitalism. Nobody makes it out with the right way. There is a joke that you'll be surprised that in Nairobi you're the only one who's working hard. Everyone else is working smart, and smart doesn't necessarily mean ethical or moral, right? You'll be surprised to find out that that friend who owns a Mercedes at 26, you might think he's smart. He's like he got his life figured out, but actually it's not. You'll be surprised that that millionaire, didn't just get there the easy way. You'll be surprised that the guy who heads the department somewhere didn't just, it's not just out of merit. Now, if that's the world we're living in, of radical capitalism, whereby you put yourself first because you want things to work for you, and I'm not speaking only in the area of business. I mean, there are a lot of ugly things going on around here, and I feel if you're doing what you're idealizing, what you're saying, you'll end up becoming a loser. No, I don't know of anyone who wants to be a loser. What's your thought on that?
Now I get you because of radical thinking. World of individualism has made us to create ways or come up with ways which we are calling smarter ways. Now, if we have to subject that to ethical judgment, moral judgments, then we will realize by and large just places the entire actions and activities on some form of a wrong. Now, a strong person for me will be a person who knows the working system of the world system, but then chooses to create other better humane ways, these better, good humane ways, ways that are standard, recommendable, ways that for me as a Christian, probably I'm so much in the Christian world, but the Christian world, I think God will want us to do that. I'm asking myself, in the world of radicalization and all this individualism, what will God want me to do? What will be that which satisfy my moral inclinations, my ethical inclinations? And I think a strong person is whom I have the knowledge of that. I have a knowledge of what is happening around me, and I just choose otherwise, trusting whatever I'm trusting in, and trying to, while the world is still punching and going hard also, I can create this sports.
I totally agree with what you're saying. My only inquiry is, in as much as you're trying to be the game changer, okay, you're not even changing the game anyway, because the game is already dirty. You're just trying to bring in a new set of rules, which necessarily might not work in that game. So my only inquiry is, yes, you're good. You're trying to be as moral and ethical as you can. You're trying to be empathetic and sympathetic as you can. And you win in that. But then you lose, let's say, in provision, right?
In provision.
Because you got bills to pay. You got a career to build. Now, those bills won't be paid in those ethical ways. That career won't be built in that ethical way. So my inquiry is, what's the way forward? I totally agree that in a world where rules are dirty, try to be clean. I totally agree with that. And I totally agree with fidelity to the Christian teachings of, what does God want us to do in this situation. Totally agree with that. But now my question is, you've done that, but your career is not building, and your bills are not being paid. What's the way forward?
Because the game is dirty, and life has cornered us in such a way. And maybe the best we hope for is someday the system wouldn't be running this way, so that we subject this that is ethical, this that is standard and humane into our system. Now, what will happen here? That's a good question. I want to think about it.
Give us your answer in the comment section, because in this world of noise and confusion, you're trying to seek clarity. And if you have a hint of clarity, kindly, we'll be glad to share with you.
What do you think is a strong person in such a setup?
In such a setup, I think that's a tricky one, because yes, there is that, there is that, there is the knowledge that you have, that this is what you ought to do. The will is there to do what you know, but then you just realize the results are not paying. So for me, a strong person in such an environment will be one who obeys the will and the knowledge that he has. Because there is something I was listening to yesterday, and this speaker was saying, decisions make themselves once you have enough data. So once you have enough knowledge of who you are, what you want to do, what your beliefs and values are, and you have enough knowledge of how dirty the system operates, the decision will make itself for you to will out whatever you want to do. So a strong person, in my opinion, will be someone who has sufficient knowledge of the environment he's in, and himself, and then has that strength of will to execute what his values tell him to do.
Fantastic. And that's it. So the knowledge of the environment, the knowledge of the self, and the strong will to execute the plan. And I think wherever there is an agreeables, we are having agreeables over yourself, the will, that is something to do with the faculty of the mind, and also, the knowledge of things around you. There's always something that points to that reality of making a good decision.
Now, speaking of that, agreeables with your values and the knowledge you have, we have two options here. To do what you believe in, and to compromise your values. So let's talk of compromise.
Yeah, compromise as a notion. In greater ways, I really need to say this. In greater ways, in many, many ways, I believe that strong people are also people who sometimes compromise. Did you realize I said sometimes? It's very good.
Okay.
Sometimes should be a game changer here, because compromise is an understanding. Compromise is sometimes saying, look, I know what this means. I know the rules of the game, yes. But how about this fun idea? Let me listen to you outside the rule of the game. Because if the rules of the game has outlined 1 + 1 should be 2, then does it? It is 1 + 1, and that should be 2. But I'm realizing your 1 + 1 here didn't make 2, it made 3 here. And now I'm getting interested. And sometimes situations are compelling. Sometimes our life situations are compelling. And they are asking us sometimes to get to an understanding. Now, I don't know about you. Strong believer also of second chances. Strong believer of the world is running as we're seeing it today, because probably someone is giving another person a second chance to prove life, to live life, to face life once again. And people who give second chances are people who understand. There are people who are saying, look, I get it, you screwed up, but I'm allowing you to, I'm closing that chapter. I think other forms of compromise will mean closing that chapter, and I'm opening a new book for you and see how you behave with this. And people commit to that. I think great success comes from compromises too. Great peace and understanding. Today we are looking in the world we live in, we are thinking of interreligious dialogues. We are thinking of ecumenical dialogues. True ecumenical and interreligious dialogues are dialogues that are based on knowing what we are holding on to as authentic, true Christian values. But we're also saying, look, what do you believe in? What are you believing in? What are you bringing in? Now, we see the radicalism, the differences and the similarities in them, and we choose. Actually, there's a will here of choosing something on the middle that works for us, and we stop dwelling on what makes us to be more apart, but focus on what brings us together. Now, if I'm given a second chance, that will mean someone is thinking of forgiving me. Someone is trying to say, look, I get it, you messed it up, but how about you try it again? But this time around, try to get it right. This is a person who sees the need of us meeting a goal, the need of me meeting a goal, and is saying, I don't want to dwell on your other sides. I'm bending this for now, but give you a ride. That's right. I'm turning a ride for you to start again and see how that behaves.
Wow.
So
Quite profound.
in many ways, I think great success, world systems that are developing, that are working, are made because someone somewhere is trying to compromise something. Someone somewhere is giving a second chance. Someone somewhere is trying to understand someone. Wherever there is understanding, it changes, is a game changer. And you realize that people who insist of, do you really understand what I mean? You have had people you get in conversation of, do you really understand what I mean? Then if you really understand it, then you should be okay with that. Understanding becomes a great component of compromise. And maybe you might want to think of components of compromise. But before then, what's your understanding of compromise? Will you advocate for it? Or will you work by the rule of the game to the latter?
No. I'm never a conservatist. I never subscribe to rigidity, because life itself is dynamic. Life is not static. Life itself is dynamic, and it's not that I encourage compromise or I'm okay with compromise, but I go with the idea that I subscribe a lot to American pragmatism, a lot, because this is a mindset that made America to be what it is today. Okay, this is a mindset that actually operates, as the name suggests, it actually operates with what works, and what works might not be within the brackets of the rules. Okay. Now, here we speak about comprehension, understanding, which is a very important key in compromise. There's something I was reading somewhere, and this guy was saying that never judge people before you understand what options they had. Yes, they chose black. Do you know the other options they had? They chose to walk out of that marriage. Do you know the options they had? Other options they had. You end up only seeing the option that they're choosing without knowing what other options were available for them. So compromise goes with understanding. You need to understand what exactly am I dealing with here. What are my options, and what is workable, right?
For sure.
And again, it goes back to judgment. You be slow to judge people, because in all honesty, you might be judging somebody and you can't even handle half the hell they're going through. And so when somebody compromises, of course, you're talking about informed compromise. Okay. So when someone is making an informed compromise, I think they have carefully analyzed the situation, carefully analyzed the options, and then said, okay, I know this is not part of the role, but I just have to go towards this direction. Yeah, so those are my thoughts. And it takes a strong person to make an informed compromise.
For sure.
It takes a strong person to make an informed compromise, because on one hand, you're clearly ready to be judged. You're putting yourself, you're putting yourself at the front line of that battle of judgment, because it's evident. Everybody is going to say, why did he do this?
Yet he knew the rules of the game.
So it takes strength for you to compromise. Now, look at let's go back to the Christian world. Look at the person of Christ himself, the person of Jesus, okay? So I believe Christ is true God and true man. I believe the idea of incarnation was a compromise. because combining humanity and divinity, it's out of place. It's out of logic, out of philosophy. But then this guy came down, God bent so low to become man, so that man can become divine. I think that was a great compromise. I think the greatest of all time. And so again, the Jewish people, the Israelites, they kept judging this guy. In the first place, they couldn't understand how this could happen. Comprehension, an important element in compromise. They failed to understand how, first of all, they denied the divinity of Jesus because they couldn't understand how it could happen, right? Then this is a man who knows, these are my subjects, these are my creatures, and this is how they are treating me. But I'm okay with it because there's a greater good ahead.
For sure.
So I think it takes strength to compromise.
For a good that is greater, for a good that exists outside the bracketing system.
Yes.
Actually, compromise, I think, as you have already pointed out, in many ways, compromise become an understanding outside things that are bracketed. Now, the bracketed things are rules. Now, what's the best we hope for? The best we hope for, I think, is wherever there's rules of the game, and if we can work within the rules of the game, fine and good, and that would be perfect. We wouldn't be talking about compromise here today because things will be working well. That is one. Two, another thing we'll really need to keep in mind while talking about compromise is about values. We wouldn't want to compromise values. We wouldn't want to touch about values. With as much as we want to give second chances, with as much as we want to say, look, you try again. If there are ways you can live and uphold to the values, human values, Christian values, whatever values you subscribe yourself in, please do. I think does it, and we shouldn't compromise values.
And I think at that point, it's important to know your deal breakers, right? Okay, I can compromise, but when this element shows up, I just walk out of the room. I walk out of the story. It's important for you to, to have a value system that informs your compromise.
For sure.
If not, then it's not an informed compromise.
And does it? Again, as you said, compromise should be an informed compromise. So while we are trading around the issue of compromise, we want to trade on a very thin wavelength, knowing it's a very dangerous road, because we might want to try understand anything in the name of understanding. And that wouldn't be so good.
It will open a floodgate of, it's a slippery slope that can take you from 100 to 0 in just one decision. That one decision of that one uninformed compromise can change the course of your life, can change the course of your environment, if it's your institution, if it's your career path, your vocation. So the best you can do is to make sure the compromise you're making is an informed one within your value systems.
And is aimed at a value that is greater, and someone is being held responsible for that, to make sure we drop that in. I think the greatest forms of gratitude that we can always get from what we have compromised is, at the end of the day, it brings the fruits, the desired end, the desired goals come to a reality. It will be very unfair that someone compromises for you and you end up playing around with the compromise again.
Sure.
That makes the story to be sad. The story becomes better when I know my mother and my father understood me. I messed it up, but they gave me another chance to live again and to do it better, and supported me in this that I'm doing again. And I managed to deliver it to them and deliver it for myself, to them, and the betterment of the society. I think that will be a greatest joy. It will be a compromise that has meaning, a compromise that has been valued, a compromise that has been, someone has taken time to appreciate it. I think the greatest ways of appreciating it is just by delivering. Now, as probably we are bringing it down, just to build on the idea of a strong person. Now, today in the morning, just to pay tribute to one of our contributors in IHNDY family, Michael Akonya, as he celebrates his birthday. Now, happy birthday, Mikey. and listening to Mike on the show that you held about on social capital. Now, at one point here to talk about social networking, the extroverts and the introverts trying to make sense out of everything and helping building a team and supporting each other as a team to get to where they are. And he mentioned this. He said social networking and networks that we build at the end of the day should help someone to spot opportunities, and when you spot these opportunities, they point them to that right direction. Now we'll want to think about it. Think about it for a moment. You spot opportunities, you see opportunities, you meet opportunities, and then you point a person to that right direction. And my immediate thought was, that is a strong person. A strong person in the social networking system is a person who can spot these opportunities, meet these opportunities, and find courage to point others, and not just in any direction, into that right direction. And what will right direction mean? You might want to subject that with thinking kidogo, and you think about right direction. Right direction will mean, for me, it will mean the trials and errors have been done, tested. Someone probably has walked through that road. He knows how the road looks like. He'll tell you the corners, the bumps, and the spots you need to go through to get through it. We'll say, we'll point you to some form of a procedure. Someone has tried something and say, look, I think this is the right direction and this is the way you should walk. I think strong people do that.
Yes.
They point you to directions where pointing someone to a right direction is a sure sign. By the very fact we are predicating it, the word right, it means there is a bad, right and bad, right and wrong. Then it means that someone has really done his homework well, someone has tried the road probably, and someone knows exactly what they're saying. And that goes a long way, and it means so much. I think that's a strong person. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, that's a strong person, because I believe, I subscribe to the theory that the backstage is where all the magic happens.
Fantastic.
Whenever you see somebody swimming in success, they didn't just get there. You know, Andrew Tate says the people you fear most, fear in terms of respect. The people you respect most, they're not on their own. Take an example in your hometown. The guy you fear most, the guy you respect most, the guy who you know this guy is a badass in life. It's all connected.
Yeah.
You know, he knows the police, he knows the judges, he knows the best doctors around, he knows
Mama Mboga, Boda Boda.
You know, this is a guy who has a network of guys. You know, he didn't just get to that level of respect. Look at even, you know, the best of lecturers in school. They're well-connected guys. Look at the millionaires in the world. They're well-connected guys. So social capital is I think is an essential thing in success and good life, right? And so if we're talking of social network, social capital, we're talking of people knowing people and then being ready to point them towards the places where they can actually go, which I think it takes a lot of strength to do that, because in a world of radical capitalism and competition, unhealthy competition, it takes strength for you to elevate someone, because at the end of the day, it's the world of capitalism. It's what can I do to be the best of the best. But then comes social network, social capital, where it says, how can I do so that we have a system of guys who are the best of the best, right? So that when I'm calling you for there is this saying that the convoy of the wedding is not made of one car, right?
For sure.
So pray for your friends. Point them towards those good directions, you know. It's useless to be a millionaire who's isolated. You need also to be with fellow millionaires, right? It's useless to be, you know, an academic who spends his time in the library alone. No, there are days you go for symposiums, you go for stuff where you meet like minds. And so pointing people towards the direction is another way of telling them, I want you to be like me. I want you to come to the level where I am, or I want you to be a better person, in short. Whether it's beyond me, whether it's above me, I just want you to be a better person. And it takes strength to do that with no strings attached. Don't confuse it for corruption, because corruption is, there's a sport here, you can feel it, okay, and then I want you to feel this sport, but I need to gain something in return. In the sense of, I was very, 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 I was very surprised when I learned that, how these music labels operate. They come spot a talent. They have the money, the funds. They also have the social platform. So what they do, you're lacking those two. You're lacking funds for music recording, for video recording, and you're also lacking a platform. But for them, they've already made a name. So what they do, they come to you, desperate as you are. They tell you, hey, come on, we want to sign you. But now in the signing, since you're doing everything for you in terms of recording, in terms of marketing, in terms of promotion of the music, that's a lot of work for us. So what you'll be doing, you'll be giving us 60% of your income. Then you, desperate as you are, you're like, okay, this is a well-known music record label, let me sign. Then you sign in. Of course, they'll do everything they can to market your music, because 60% of that money is theirs. So they'll really, really work for it. And as they're working for it, they're promoting you. 5 years down the line, you realize music is paying you a lot of money, but you're only getting 40% of that. So I don't think that is social networking, social capital. So it takes strength for you to point someone in the right direction with the right intentions.
And even sometimes walk away from just saying, look, I think you know the road now, yes. Just walk down the road and that's it. Now, in the yesterday's discussion with the guys I was talking to, someone said this, a strong person is a person who will open the door, manage to open the door on their own if they can, and after opening the door, they can still hold the door open for others to come and pass. And even if that means passing, and they're going, passing them, going ahead and ahead, that will be something. That will be. So I think a strong person, in strongest of terms, also will be a person who will open the door, yes, after they have managed to open the door, and still hold it for others to pass.
I think it all goes back to the Christian value of love. Fantastic. When Jesus says, first of all, love that is service-oriented, then love that is sacrificial in nature, whereby, as you're holding that door for others to pass, even if it means passing, even if it means somebody locking you out, no greater love than laying down your life for your friends. I think that sort of sacrifice, that sort of self-giving for others, it takes strength, man. Not everyone can do that.
Laying down your life for your friends. And Jesus makes sure he mentioned friends.
Yes.
Not just some other guy. And that's it. Now, to bring this to a close, I would like to say this. Now, we have mentioned a number of books in the course of our discussions, in previous discussions. Now, I've just checked, I just realized the other day, Becoming by Michelle Obama, it is in Netflix. So if you like Netflix, you might want to check that.
Spoiler alert, the book is better than the movie.
Sure. Now, the book is better than the movie, but if the movie can work for you,
yes,
you might want to check that.
If you can get that concept in 2 hours, that's fine.
That's fine. So Becoming's there. Also, the Light We Carry is the most recent one of 2022. It's also in Netflix. You might want to check that out. And then we are having a number of discussions here. You have realized of social capital, social intelligence, emotional intelligence. The Kenyan market, if you check the Kenyan market, is flooded by the book by Daniel Goleman. You might want to check our previous discussions on emotional intelligence. Daniel Goleman does an amazing piece of work on the book Emotional Intelligence, and social intelligence is also in the Kenyan market already. And these are an amazing piece of work. Now, you might want to combine these discussions with also, you challenge yourself to read the books and see how the books behave with the notions you are saying, and then find a way of thinking through it, reflecting through it. Trust me, it never leaves you the same. Reading books, eating books, dreaming books is one amazing piece of work also you can do it yourself, and challenging yourself to become a better person, and that will be something. So tribute to Mike again as he does as he celebrates his birthday. We grateful to God for gracing IHNDY series with his thought patterns on social capital. And someday we might want to bring such people in.
Yeah, by all means.
Our supporters and contributors to share with us what they have made out of it and what they have built on these concepts again. And I think it's nice time also to thank you for the platform for bringing such people on board to share with us whatever they think and their experiences. And I want to believe it never leaves people the same. Sometimes you go through the commenting section and you realize that the story that is anyone wants to interact with is a story that anyone want to listen to, comment, see how they think, share their experiences on the same thought patterns. And I think growth, if anything, is based on such things.
Yeah, I'm totally grateful to everyone who was part of this. You turned out to be one of them. Anyway, emotions baadaye. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this. It's such an amazing platform because we get to we get to wander around our minds and come out with the best of the best, and it's something I don't take for granted. I'm just hoping that all this enables us to be better people and impact people out there, people who are yearning to be better persons, better versions of themselves. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Remember to follow us on our socials at IHNDY series. Then remember to click on that subscribe button. Remember to share this video, comment, give us your thoughts on what you feel. Are we making sense, or are we just yapping and having some some verbal whatever?
You know what I'm thinking? I think strong people also give us other people platforms to share their thoughts.
Sure.
So that makes you one. Thanks, man.
Thank you. So until next time, peace.